Hello and welcome to today's class. Today's class is all about the hips. We are going to be hopefully making some space in that sticky tense area of the body. Our hips are also linked to the water element in Chinese medicine. So this is quite a fluid class where we won't be holding postures for too long, but just enough time to create the space, allow things to come up, and just check back in. Let's get started. So, starting in that comfortable position, if you've got blocks, maybe you might want to sit up on some blocks just to help support your hips in today's practice. Um, Closing down the eyes and just starting with that check in. Placing the hands onto the knees. Feeling your breath going in through the nose and out through the nose. Just allowing yourself this little bit of time to arrive on your mat, into your space. Where you're going to be for the next bit of time. If you want to, we can bring in the water mudra. So placing the hands up on the backs of the knees and bringing your little finger and thumb together. And then just allowing the other fingers to relax. As if you're resting your hands into that swimming pool on holiday in the sun. Or maybe in the sea, and feeling the water wash on your hands with the sand beneath you. Allowing the forehead to be soft, the jaw to relax. And just knowing that any emotions or sensations that come up today, just allowing them to be there. And maybe this is where you want to set an intention for today's practice. Maybe something like let it go, or going with the flow. Having a few more breaths just to settle yourself. Before gently fluttering the eyes open, and we're going to start on all fours. So coming into your tabletop position, hands are stacked under the arms, knees under the hips. We're going to start with our cat-cow. So as you breathe in, dipping the spine, the tailbone goes up, lifting the head. And exhale, curving the spine, and the head goes under through the arms, looking back. Inhale, dipping the spine, the head comes up. Exhale, arch the spine, the head comes through. Just doing a few more at your own breath, trying to be as fluid as possible. You might want to add some side movements in. Just getting into that space, loosening up the spine. Looking from side to side. We come into our first child's pose, keeping the knees wide to the edges of the mat and sinking our hips back to our feet and reaching the arms forward. Feeling that stretch down your back and into your hips. Remembering that there's nowhere else you need to be right now. On your next inhale, I want you to push yourself up, tucking the toes under, and we're going to come into our first downward facing dog. Now, this might be your first one of the day. If it is, it might be a little bit tight. So either just bending the knees, walking the dog from left to right, just moving with the breath. Bending one knee then the other, coming up onto your toes, keeping the hands spread wide. Looking between your thighs before bringing some stillness. On your next inhale, I want you to ripple forwards to your plank. We're going to come up onto our toes, arching the back, rolling forwards to our high plank. As you hit your high plank, bend the knees and roll yourself back up into your downward facing dog. One more time. Up onto your toes, roll yourself forward through your spine, bend the knees, coming back up. And just allowing yourself to settle here again. On your next breath in, taking our right foot between our hands, and we're going to come up into our high lunge. Inhale, stepping that foot between the hands and sweeping up into our high lunge. Allowing yourself to sink into those hips, engaging the back leg, feeling strong through the body. Feeling that flowing energy through the hands, down the arms, and into the legs. Inhale. Inhaling and flipping our back foot to be in line with the back of the mat and coming into our warrior two. Looking forwards through that middle finger. Feeling that stretch, those hips. Inhaling up into our star, so flipping that front foot to be in line with the edge of the mat. Or exhale, folding down into our wide leg forward fold. And breathing here. Inhale back up to the star and coming down into our goddess pose. So flipping the feet to point out to the corners of the mat and sinking down into our hips. Tucking the tailbone under, engaging the glutes, engaging the quads, opening those hips. Bringing our arms out, still radiating that water energy. Maybe a little rock from side to side. Keeping that fluidity. We're inhaling back up to our star, sweeping the hands down and back into our downward facing dog. Inhale, roll out to plank. Bend the knees and back up to our downward facing dog. Allowing yourself 5 breaths here. In through the nose and out through the nose. Maybe you've introduced your Ujjayi breath. That's like constriction on the back of the throat. So your breath sounds like the waves rolling in and out. On your next inhale, we're going to bring our left foot forward between the hands and coming up into our high lunge. Sweeping the arms up. Feeling that energy again through our hands. Down the arms and into the body. And exhale, flipping the back foot. The arms go wide into our warrior one. Looking over that front hand. Inhale, the arms go up. The feet come in line with each other with the edges of the mat. And down into our forward, wide leg forward fold. Feeling into the backs of the legs, the hips, the arms, allowing the top of the body to be heavy. Before inhaling all the way back up into our star and coming down into our goddess. So flipping the feet back out to the corner edges of the mat, bringing our arms out into a cactus and lowering down into the hips. Keeping our tailbone tucked under, pushing the knees out, really feeling into those hips. Again, maybe you want to have a little rock from side to side. Keep that fluidity. Move like water. Inhale, the hands go up, all the way back up, and sweeping down back to our downward facing dog. Inhale, roll up to plank, keeping the spine bent. Bend the knees and all the way back into your downward facing dog. Dropping the knees down, nice and wide, and into our wide leg child pose. Allowing the breath to settle. Or pushing yourself up and coming back up to our yogi squat. So you are going to bring your feet out to the edges of the mat, pointing out, and sink into those hips. Pushing the knees out with our elbows. I'll spin around so you can see. Pushing our knees out with our elbows, bringing our hands into prayer. This can be quite an intense stretch or sensation. So just trying to breathe into that space, allowing yourself to be here. You might be up on your toes or your feet flat on the ground. Either is fine. Today is about the hips. Trying to keep that spine nice and long. as we push our palms together. Before inhaling all the way back up and standing nice and tall. Coming into our figure 4 pose, standing. So grounding that left foot into the mat. You might want to have one hand on the hip and bringing that right knee up and just finding your balance before grabbing your toe, bringing the ankle over the knee and sinking. If you can, maybe bring the arms up and sway like water. Inhale all the way back up, bringing that right knee down and coming over to the other side. Grounding that right foot, bringing the left knee up, ankle comes over and sinking to the other side. One side might be slightly tighter or wobbly, bringing the arms back up and flowing. Inhale all the way back up, bringing the feet back down. We are going to come down onto our backs now. So standing at the top of the mat, raising the arms to the sky, coming all the way back down into our yogi squat, so our feet come out to the edges of the mat, tailbone tucks under. Exhaling all the way down. Arms come out, elbows press into knees, before slowly, intentionally and carefully coming back down onto our backs, rolling down nice and slow, using our core. And exhale, let the arms go down either side of the body, but keeping the feet planted and the knees bent. We're going to come into a bridge. So grounding the feet down, maybe checking that your fingertips can just reach the back of your heels. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the nose. On your next inhale, pushing those feet into the ground and rolling up through your spine, lifting the hips, engaging the glutes. Exhale, roll yourself back down, nice and fluidly. Inhale, roll yourself back up. And maybe this time you want to roll your shoulders underneath your body, pushing yourself up a little bit higher. Making sure the knees aren't going out to the sides. Keeping that neck in line with the body, not looking from left to right. And on your next inhale, taking your shoulders back out and just allowing your hips to float from side to side until they float down to the mat beneath you. And then just taking their feet nice and wide to either edges of the mat and just giving them a little windshield wipe from left to right. We're going to come into our cow face pose next. So bringing the feet back in closer together, lifting the arms up and pulling yourself up with your core if you can, or using your hands if you need help. Back up to a seated pose. Roll yourself back up. The nice straight spine and coming round to cow face. Now, if you have a block and your hips are quite tight, I would suggest him maybe using a block, but see how you feel It can be quite an intense pose. So just allow yourself to be comfortable so you can really settle into it and soften. If you're uncomfortable, then we tend to tense more, and we're trying to create space for things to come up. So the more tense you are, it might not help. So do what's right for you. For cow face, we are going to bring our right knee under the left, bringing the feet out to the side. You kind of want your legs to make a little triangle shape, stacked on top of each other. It's okay if they're not together. It's quite an intense stretch. So just again, do what's right for you. Placing the palms of the hands on the sole of the feet. Taking a deep inhale, straightening the spine. And as you exhale, just folding yourself forwards. Working with the breath here. Anytime you feel yourself tighten or restrict, just take that deep breath in through the nose. And as you fold a little bit more, just let go. Let your breath go. Feeling yourself soften with your breath. Picturing the calm, still waters. Or maybe if you want a little bit of movement, rocking from side to side in this pose can feel quite nice. Can help to allow your body to soften that little bit more. Just 3 more breaths here. And on our next inhale, slowly rise back up. A nice straight spine. And then we're going to switch to the other side. So keeping the feet where they are, if you can, grounding them into the mat. We're going to twist around to our right side, and you should be in this the other way around. So ready? Twisting round to the right. Lift yourself up. Keep your feet where they are and twisting round. And your right leg should now be stacked on top of your left. If you're not, just do what you need to do to get into the position and allow yourself to settle back in. One side might feel tighter, just go with it. There might be some more things stored on one side, maybe an old injury. Just do what's right for you again. So bringing the feet back onto bringing the hands back onto the soles of the feet. Breathing into a nice straight spine. And working with the breath again as we allow ourselves to fold forwards. Getting into those outer hips, those glutes. Maybe swaying from side to side to soften the body. Working with the breath. So get into those sticky areas. Allowing the shoulders to relax. Is your face still nice and soft? Is your jaw unclenched? Just check back in. Three more breaths here. Before your next inhale, coming all the way back up, straight spine. Maybe moving your blocks out the way and coming back onto our all fours position and just giving those hips a bit of a wiggle. Maybe you want to do some cat-cows here, or looking from left to right. Just moving those hips around and bringing that fluidity back in. Maybe a rock from side to side. Before we come into our pigeon pose. So extending that right leg back and bringing that left knee behind the left wrist, foot behind the right wrist. Again, if you've got your block, you might want this underneath your glutes, just for a bit of support. And allowing yourself to sink down. Reminding yourself of your intention today. Inhaling all the way back up and switching to the other side. Moving that block over if you're using one. Extending that left leg. The right knee goes behind the right wrist. Foot behind the left. And allowing yourself to melt down into the mat. Still working with the breath. Keeping the body as soft as you can. Inhaling all the way back up. Moving that block to the side. And coming back to our tabletop. We've got one more posture before we come down into stillness. And this is just one more to get into those hips. So bringing the left foot forwards by your hands. This is our lizard pose. You may want to just stay on your knee if that's enough for you. If you want a little bit more, flexing the right toes and coming up off the mat or the back leg. Engaging that right leg. And really feeling into those hip muscles. Maybe rocking forwards and backwards may feel good in this. Keeping those shoulders soft away from the ears. It's so easy to hunch up when we're in these poses. And then switching to the other side, dropping that right knee down, bringing the left back, then bringing our right foot forwards to be with our hands. And maybe you just want to stay on that knee, or if you want that little bit more, coming back up onto that left leg, engaging the left leg, pushing back with the heel. And again, maybe rocking backwards and forwards. Bringing that energy, that fluidity. Before dropping that knee down again. Coming back onto tabletop, crossing the ankles, coming onto our bums and then rolling down to our backs. Bringing the arms out in front of you and rolling down slowly vertebra by vertebra. until we can feel ourselves fully on the ground, hugging the knees in, bringing them to our chest, just having a bit of a rock from side to side. And we're just going to do some hip circles to finish off before we end in Shavasana and stillness. So drawing the knees out and up and down. You may just want small circles or big ones, whatever you feel like you need today. Working with the breath as you inhale and go up, and exhale, bringing those knees back to the body. And then reversing round the other way. Inhaling as you push up together, and exhale, bring them out wide and down back to the body. Before just finishing in a little bit of stillness, hugging those knees back in and slowly extending the legs all the way out down the mat, rolling the feet out to the sides, keeping our palms facing up, maybe introducing that water mudra again, the little finger and the thumbs together, and allowing all the other fingers to relax. Maybe you want to visualize yourself on a paddleboard in the sea, or on a lilo in the sun, in a swimming pool. Wherever you feel safe and supported. Allowing that space between your eyes to soften again as you picture the sun on your face, the jaw to relax, and your whole body to be supported by the water beneath you. Allowing your breath to settle, your belly and chest to rise and fall like the sea. And just allowing that stillness. Knowing that any emotions or sensations that came up, but you may still be feeling, are just like water. We can often relate our lives to the sea. There'll be storms, but there'll be calm days where it's still. And just knowing it's ever changing and not in our control. Maybe just a reminder that we can let things go and not hold on, and be like that ever-changing energy. On your next inhale, start to wiggle those fingers and toes. Maybe stretching your arms above you, stretching the whole body. And then rolling over to the right side, allowing the heart space to stay open. Or pushing yourself up to that seated position that we began in. Keeping the eyes closed. Maybe your hands back in that water mudra. Or maybe you just want your palms facing down onto your knees to settle you. Taking the arms up wide, up above us, into a prayer position above our heads. And bringing down through the third eye and then into the heart space. Thank yourself for taking this time today. Bowing the head and gently opening the eyes.